Alright, so now I'm going to pick up from where I left off, and I'm going to go back to the sanctuary in Sumeru. So up the daisies.
Hey, it's them.
Akaba, Sawada, you're still here?
Are you still talking about the essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
The same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Still looking for more info about Tatarasuna, huh? Should we join them?
Perfect. These two have researched Tatsurasuna's past. Let's hear what they have to say.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real progress.
The article that you let me read last time was great. Can I read it again?
Huh? Oh, of course.
Okay, so I'm not actually going to read this because this was the report thing that they did, and I actually skipped over that because I was not going to read all that text. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to read the yellow text part because I think that's the important part. A great many of these rumors revolved around the yokai who are so very characteristic of Inazuma's folk histories. A small portion, however, repeatedly mentioned the word outsider. It should be known that the appearance of such a character, who is suspected to be based on a real person, is a very curious case. This fact drew the attention of the researchers to delve further, and eventually the following pieces of information came to light. A foreign mechanic once visited Tatsurasuna. Reportedly, the reason for his immigration was to exchange knowledge and forge ties with the locals. However, the mechanic seemed to behave suspiciously, often wandering around essential or restricted areas. And if someone tried to turn him away, they would only earn incomprehensible mumbles from his lips. Mechanic often stared into the furnace, seemingly to check on its condition. Unsettling, he also spent a substantial amount of time watching the local residences. Judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places such as Tatsurasuna. After traveling across the tides, foreign experts being welcome in the region was likely not unreasonable either. Yet calamity came not long after the exchange of knowledge, which hints at high potential for causation between these events. However, some current residents believe that these assumptions were merely the results of their forebears' overreactive imaginations, attempting to theorize how things actually unfolded. Okay, the mechanic. Long have I delved through many texts and documents, but I was ultimately unable to decipher even a specter of a clue as to his background. Still, mentions of the mechanic grew scarcer in the aftermath of the Tatsurasuna incident. I speculate that instead of the mechanic possibly being a figure woven from a very ripe imagination, he actually did exist and perhaps even had a hand in the events that took place in Tatsurasuna, which would be the doctor.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well. Here.
Okay, let's see if there's any yellow text in here. Miyazaki hid his grin upon hearing this name. Niwa realized the lizard from his hand into Katsurugi's palm. But just as more words were to be exchanged, someone came walking nearby, their footsteps steady and confident. The head that appeared by the door was that of one of the abroad. The newcomer placed some lunchboxes to one side, nodded, and made to leave. Wait, wasn't it supposed to be a boy? Wait, that boy was actually Scaramouche. Oh, oh shit! I'm not gonna read the rest of this because I don't need to now. The content has changed. Another effect of tampering with information in Irminsul. Baldur said he had raced 2 of his names. If he really succeeded, it would have taken all of his might, but still,
Well, what do you think?
a masterpiece.
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how you wished you could gather more information about all this? Well, we just got back from Inazuma. So how about we tell them what we learned?
Sure.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and
Tell the 2 writers what you learned about.
Wow.
Okay.
So many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge. Huh. You heard this from a member of the Amanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here after all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis. Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly prestigious role in society those days, to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
Yes, okay, point taken, you were right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
and they're back at it. These guys are really into this.
We've got some things to take care of. Bye for now.
Oh, so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you. Thank you so much for the information.
Welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Will do.
Okay, now we need to talk to Nahida and get this shit sorted out because I don't want my baby Scaramouche to go away.
Nahida, we're here. Traveler, Paimon, how have you been? Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time. That night, we ended up chatting and chatting until suddenly the sun was up. And then he decided he wanted to go to Inazuma.
I was investigating the situation with the balladeer.
The balladeer? It sounds like some kind of code name.
Yeah, I figured that was going to happen. Oh no.
You look troubled. Is there something you need to tell me?
Even Nahida doesn't remember, just like last time. Any changes to Irmin's will affect her as well. The balladeer acted quickly. He finished erasing himself before Nahida could stop him. I'm the only one who still remembers the things that were erased. Once again, I am the record keeper.
Traveler? Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There are things that have happened that only I can remember. I have to tell you the truth. Okay. Oh, it actually lets me read it this time. With a heavy heart, you piece back together the story that was broken and scattered across time. There once was one named the Balladeer, created by the Electro Archon. He was a puppet who lived among men. After a series of events in Tatarasuna, the Balladeer, thinking he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to roam the world beyond. With no trust for humans, and only loathing for the gods, he bore his grudge for years as he grew in strength, then returned to Imazu to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become a deity with a gnosis and ended up losing everything. Finally, he entered Irminsul and learned the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing now that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable in an attempt to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Balladeer erased himself from Irminsul, hoping that he could change the past. But how was he even able to do that? As the Traveler said, he very nearly became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it. Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality. So, you believe this person really existed, and we just don't remember him because, well, because he literally changed the world? Yes. Theoretically speaking, it is possible to do this. But I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it. The traveler comes from a world beyond Tavat. That's why there's no information about him in Irminsul, and it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect him. So if there's anyone in the world capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you. It's quite incredible when you think about it.
You can say that again.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding this balladeer guy's motivations. Why did he do it?
I can only make inferences based on the information we've been given. As for what kind of person he was, only you remember that.
I'm really not sure. We were enemies after all. I don't know his perspective on all this, so I can't say why he did something so extreme. Did he want to reset everything, or save everyone? Or did he want to completely undo his existence? Everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all. Maybe that's all there was or there is to it. I still remember the question he asked. He asked me specifically, and my hesitation gave him his answer. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Rudavada erase her own existence, but I can't tell Nahida that. To put it another way, I know why the Balladeer was sure it could work, but can't tell them that.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
He chose such a radical option, and yet,
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died, right?
yes.
Once the balladeer realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. The story makes sense. Every part of it. The balladeer tried to achieve godhood with the doctor's help. He was unsuccessful, but retained the power to connect with Irminsul. That power then enabled him to change what was recorded in Irminsul and erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it still ended in tragedy for his friends. It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
Yeah, he changed the world in many ways, and yet the dead still didn't get a second chance. Those fated to a tragic end could not be saved. What exactly did he want to fight back against? The betrayals in his life, or did he wish he'd never existed at all?
Please wait a moment. I want to check something. Found it. This should be the one.
What are you giving me?
It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything he has told us.
What is it?
A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a corner. You should take a look.
Surprisingly, the information presented you in a way that resembles a fairy tale.
Is this a fairy tale? Who wrote it?
This matches everything I said.
I authored this record myself.
Huh? You wrote a fairy tale that somehow has something to do with the balladeer?
When combined with the traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else.
Hold on. So this record survived from the past?
Yes. Any information about the balladeer or the kabuki mono in other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact. Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that. But Irminsul can't change information that was well hidden in advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the balladeer entered Irminsul.
Oh, thank God. Now we could possibly help him.
That's incredible! What a great idea!
And sending the traveler into Irminsul with the balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew he'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul. But if we connect all the different pieces together, The true story that emerges is the one he told us, the now erased life of the balladeer. There was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends. The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own. Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water. I am a monstrosity, yet they are too foolish to see it. I pity them. But the monster soon found solace when another came to live among the foxes who was not their kin. A kitten, carved from the wood of a white tree who had been abandoned by the humans. The kitten too wished to become a fox, but its tail was too slender and it could not grow a coat of richly colored fur. Yet when the other foxes saw this, they spoke words of comfort to the kitten. Even without a tail and fur like ours, you are still one of us. Furious at this happy resolution, the monster lit a fire on the mountain. The terrified animals panicked as the fire spread. The only way to extinguish the flames was to make a sacrifice. A gray fox stood up and addressed the monster. It said, "You are the cleverest among us. Surely you can help us find a way to solve this." The monster smiled, led the fox toward the fire, and murdered it. The gray fox's heart was turned into a beautiful drop of water, clear, spotless, and pure. The monster gave the heart of water to the kitten, telling him, "The foxes have decided. You are the one who must be sacrificed. Take this, quench the flames, and die for your fox kin." The fire was extinguished, but the kitten lived. It left that side of the mountain and found a little bird who had a broken wing. The two promised they would spend their whole lives together, but the little bird did not have long left to live. It passed away soon after. After burying the bird, the kitten left the mountain for good. Never again would it cherish a single creature nor a single blade of grass that stood on that mountain. The kitten spent the nights wandering aimlessly, gnashing its teeth at the moon. How it wished to swallow the moon and devour the moonlight. If the world could only return to darkness, then it would finally be peaceful and content. I will become the new moon, the answer to everything. Then, no one will know that there were once birds, foxes, and cats in this world. And no one can know that they were different.
We solved it!
I remember now. This is not just the balladeer story. It is his very own memories. I made a backup so that it would be preserved no matter what happened. To become a god, he was experimented on and modified countless times. It was brutal torture, and the only reason he was able to survive is that he was a puppet. This memory was extracted from him by the scholars. Presumably, they kept it to have something to defend themselves with. Creating a deity was just the first step. Some of them wanted to be able to control it. That's why they backed up his memory for later use. I buried it deep inside one of my own dreams, and then hid it inside an allegorical story so that it wouldn't be altered.
It's hard to believe that this person really existed, let alone that he tried to get rid of us on more than one occasion. Paimon has no memory of him at all. He completely vanished like a puff of smoke.
The balladeer agreed to help me look for information about the Descenders, and although he was unsuccessful, he still helped you. Before he vanished, He confirmed an important detail, that Conria was where your twin first came into this world. We still don't know how the change to Ermin soul will affect the senior ranks of the Fatui, but in all likelihood, they won't even remember their own harbinger.
I've never had this feeling before. It feels like life is as insignificant as a feather.
It sounds like Paimon wouldn't like this guy a whole lot if he was still around. But still, Paimon doesn't like the way it all ended that much better.
This is why wisdom alone cannot answer all our questions. We look, we see, and we comprehend, but the question still troubles us. So the answer is not everything. People yearn to find the truth and then conquer the troubles they face. When you give someone the truth, you give them a chance to choose their own destiny. To others looking on, this may seem like a pointless endeavor, but for him, the chance to act on his desire to disappear must have meant a lot. Never forget that even when we walk beneath dark clouds along a road filled with suffering, the light of wisdom is always there, guiding us toward a better destination. And that is what you have been doing all along.
Yeah, Nahita's right. Cheer up. How about we go get something to eat? We can pick up this heavy conversation again later.
Good idea. Paimon, why don't you take him out for a walk to clear his head?
You got it. Come on, traveler. You need to get out of your head for a while. You'll feel much better after taking a walk. Let's go get a snack from one of the stalls in the Grand Bazaar. That'll be sure to lift our spirits. It must be really tough being the only one who remembers all that. But Paimon's always here to help cheer you up.
Okay, so that is the next part of the quest line completed. So I will break off the video here, and I'll see you guys later.